First of all, congratulations on this series. You have no idea how much I love this show. I'm actually really sad this is coming to an end. You guys have been with me since 2022, and you're a staple in my household. It's something I actually watch with my family. Now, for 4 seasons of building this world, when you take a look back and look at it now, what personally feels like the legacy of Bel-Air?
Mm. The legacy of Bel-Air, I mean, when I talk about it, when I talk to fans, I think it's a legacy of love. I think we can still be messy and we can argue and we can say things that we regret and just kind of go and just be human and flawed. But if there's love, there's always redemption, there's healing on the other side. And I think so many of our storylines, you can feel that through it, even if you're kind of wondering, well, why on earth would she give that person another chance? Our show is so much about redemption and second chances. There are no real villains. And I think, that's what I love. I think that's the legacy that I want to leave behind.
Now, this is one of the most incredible, talented casts I've ever seen on a show. And the story is so rich and deep, but also has that family tension, but also those moments of levity and those moments of comedy. And, I really like that this show is all about community as well. So, what did the cast, the story, and the community teach you about leadership and storytelling?
Oh goodness. I mean, it's such a great cast. Everybody's so talented and everybody's so deserving of their own story. And I think coming into this show and even today, so much of the story, like Will is the center of the show. Like he's our fish out of water. We're coming in through his eyes, but we do have this ensemble of nine talented wonderful cast members. And so, just creatively as a storyteller, wanting to make sure that we create space for everybody's story to live. And when people say they love the show, I love to hear that. But I always ask, what is it you love about it? Because it's always a different character, a different dynamic. Sometimes it's the marriage story. People
Sure.
feel on Viv. Sometimes it's Jeffrey. They love the gangster part of the story, or they love the Carlton and Will friendship, or the love story of Will and Lisa, or the love triangles with Hillary and Jazz and Lamarcus. So everybody has something. And I think as a storyteller, just trying to honor all of that and creatively weave it through in a way that feels satisfying to the fans too.
Incredible. Now, season 4 feels deeply full circle, whether it's the family dynamic or the community ties or the echoes from season 1. We see that a lot. It's a theme throughout season 4. How intentional was that when structuring the final season?
And what was the theme you're referring to?
So we have a lot of these full circle moments. I noticed that we get these like kind of where Carlton and Will are at school, and you can see that Carlton now is in a completely different space than he was in season 1. He holds himself more confident, and he holds others, the people that he thought were his friends, more accountable, which is a
Yeah,
completely different shift. Something like that, or even
yeah.
yeah, even Phil and Jeffrey's relationship, it almost parallels what we see with Carlton and Will at the beginning of season 1. So there's a lot of that as well. So was that all intentional?
Yeah, and I think, what you're speaking to is just sort of the evolution, especially going into the series finale of so many storylines of these characters and using that example of Carlton, seeing how even a scene we have in season 4 with him and Connor, season
Yes.
1 in the pilot with Connor, where he sort of allowed Connor to just get away with saying some stuff that he shouldn't be saying, and Will having to call him on it. In season 4, you have a Carlton who is like, I'm not going to give you a pass. Like, I'm done giving you a pass. You should know better. So I think just being able to see that come full circle is very satisfying. It sort of speaks to how these characters have grown throughout the series.
Absolutely. I want to talk about Marlon Wayans for a second because he doesn't appear a ton, at least from what I've seen in the season, but he carries so much emotional weight in every single scene that he is in. He's so impactful in those
Yeah.
scenes. Can you talk about what he brought to the show that nobody else really could?
Yes, I mean, just coming in as Lou and Will's dad, and we know Marlon to be sort of this comedic genius, but he is also a dramatic king. He's won an NAACP Image Award for his performance on our show, and so we just want him back as much as we can get him. He's busy, and we know we had 8 episodes. So even getting him back for the time that we had him in season 4 felt great, and we know we wanted to sort of evolve that story between Will and his dad in a way that they couldn't really do in the original series. Even, that was one of the moments that we, as fans of the original, remember the most was that story with Will and his dad. So that Will Lou dynamic is important. And we wanted to be able to tell that story of healing again. You know, they started from that fractured place where season one, he was choking his son out to
Yep.
get to this very beautiful third episode where there's so much healing between these two and also healing between Lou and Phil that they haven't found.
I love the storyline with Phil and Jeffrey. The show really digs into their origins in a way that we've been waiting for since last season, really. What excited you about revealing that foundation of that brotherhood?
Yes. Knowing that this is the final season, again, that so much of the conversation in the room was like, oh, what do we want to do? What are the things that we haven't done? What excites us? And one of the things we talked about early, day one in the writer's room, was an origin story between Phil and Jeffrey. Because people do love Jeffrey. They love that dynamic and they love that he's the man of mystery. But we also like when there's just a little peek behind the curtain of who he is. And so peeking behind that curtain to see how he came into the Banks family in the first place. How is it that he met someone like Phil? How did he enter their lives? Was just interesting to us and a way to go back and tell that.
So I grew up on Alviso and Salasan. I'm from South LA. That is my hometown. Even further, 64th and Harcourt. But I love that this show really portrays South LA in such a beautiful light. And it's really about the community there. You've spoken about wanting Bel-Air to reflect the real South LA. What was essential for you to get right about that representation?
Yeah, because Jazz, his whole storyline, his record shop is in that neighborhood. He grew up in that neighborhood, so he's really that character that also connects to Will and his Philly side, that same kind of we come from the streets, we know this world, we have swag. And so keeping that story alive through Jazz's character and having that be meaningful to Will is so important. And last season, we were able to tell that story about South LA and gentrification and some of the things that were happening in that neighborhood that felt so timely. And so, yeah, Jazz keeps us really connected, so different from the world of Bel-Air, but showing these other fabulous, beautiful parts of LA and the community and our people also felt important.
And that's also like a real conversation I've had prior to even the show. So I'm happy that that was reflected within it. Now, fans have wondered, were there any original Fresh Prince cast members that you almost brought back, but either the timing or something else didn't line up quite right?
Oh goodness. I know at the beginning of season four, we talked about getting Janet Hubert on the show because we knew we wanted to get OG on Viv on the show. And when we do bring back characters, we just wanted to feel organic and like it's the right time and the right character. Like we didn't just force somebody in just because they're OG cast and it's fun because we all love the OG cast. And so Janet Hubert just felt right for the role that we found for her. And we're just thankful that timing and plans came together because sometimes a plan just can't work out for other reasons that are out of our control. We would have liked to have room to have everybody on the show. If we had another season, we'd get everybody in. But because we only had 8 episodes to sort of land the plane in this final season, just getting her and Tyra Banks, she's considered OG as well, OG Jackie. So being able to get her in also felt like a win.
Now, did Morgan Cooper direct the final two episodes?
He did, yes.
What did closing out the series alongside Morgan as a filmmaker who started? What did that mean to you?
It was fantastic. And knowing that he was there, the beginning, the reason for the show existing, and directing that fantastic pilot, and then having him come back and bookend the finale with the final 2 episodes. And they're just beautiful. And just him being there for the cast and being on set, it just felt like a real full circle moment. It was poetic.
I love that. I love that. Now, the Banks home has always kind of felt like a character itself. It's full of warmth, it's conflict, secrets, and loyalty. What does that space kind of represent to you now that the series is coming to an end?
Yeah, it was really sad, for it to come to an end and for us to pack up that Banks mansion, because it's home, it's
Sure.
home. It's to all of our characters to walk through that foyer for the final time and look around and come down that staircase for the final time. It was just such an iconic set for us. It was the first place that Will as a character walked in and looked around, it just So it was emotional saying goodbye to everybody, but saying goodbye to that mansion and knowing we were in sets for the last time, in the bedrooms for the last time, in the kitchen for the last time. So I'm glad we got a chance to say goodbye, but it was also hard.
Sure, sure. Now, when audiences finish the finale on Peacock, what do you hope they feel as the credits roll on Bel-Air?
I hope that people just feel a sense of pride. I think just being on this journey and fans starting off, some people a little skeptical about if we should be on this journey in the first place. And like getting to that series finale and seeing how fans have come to love the show, enjoy the show, and really stay on the ride and be surprised by the ride. I want people to just come away with pride for it and like for what we did, for the stories we were able to tell, for these characters, how we leave them, and just hope for what's next. The finale is called The Next Act. And I just really want people to feel, even though they might not be there to see the next act, that they're hopeful for what it's going to be for all of the characters.
I would still love to see these characters continue on. I would love a Charlie's Vinyl a show possibly, revolving around that character, or even a Jeffrey show with him reconnecting with Frederick and seeing what all that looks like. Um, do you think that, I mean, I feel like there's still a lot more story to tell. Is it possible at some point that we would be able to see a spin-off of something like that, of those shows?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, you gave two great scenarios. I feel like we were able to, this ensemble of storylines, people want to see so much. Hillary and Jazz together as their own spinoff, Charlie's Vinyl. So anything is possible because these characters are so rich and there's so many stories to tell as a family, but just even into the future and where they're headed. So you never know.
Well, Carla, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the show. It's what an incredible run. But I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph. Great interview.
Thank you.